study shows that the heart and brain responding to future events even before they happen. Is precognition real? There are many examples suggesting that yes, it is. The remote viewing program conducted by CIA in conjunction with Stanford University was a good example of that. After its declassification in 1995, or at least partial declassification, the Department of Defense and those involved revealed an exceptionally high success rate. To summarize over the years, the back and forth criticism of protocols, refinement of methods, and successful replication of this type of remote viewing in independent laboratories has yielded considerable scientific evidence for the reality of the remote viewing phenomenon. Adding to the strength of these results was the discovery that a growing number of individuals could be found to demonstrate high-quality remote viewing. Often to their own surprise, the development of this capability at SRI has evolved to the point where visiting CIA personnel with no previous exposure to such concepts have performed well under controlled laboratory conditions. The kicker? Part of remote viewing involves peering into the future events as well as events that happened in the past. It's not only within the Department of Defense that we find this stuff, but a lot of science is emerging on this subject as well. For example, a study, meta-analysis, published in the journal Frontiers in Human Neuroscience titled Predicting the Unpredictable, Critical Analysis and Practical Implications of Predictive Anticipatory Activity, examined a number of experiments regarding this phenomenon that were conducted by several different laboratories. These experiments indicated that the human body could actually detect randomly delivered stimuli that occurred 1 to 10 seconds in advance. In other words, the human body seems to know if an event and seems to know of an event and reacts to it before it has occurred. What occurs in the human body before these events are physiological changes that are measured regarding the cardiopulmonary, the skin, and the nervous system. A few years ago, the chief scientist at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, Dr. Dean Radin, visited the scientists over at Heart Math Institute and shared the result of one of his studies. Radin is also one of multiple scientists who authored the paper above. These studies, as mentioned above, tracked the autonomic nervous system, physiological changes, and more. Scientists at Heart Math Institute, HMI, added more protocols, which included measuring participants' brain waves, the EEG, their heart electrical activity, ECG, and their heart rate variability, HRV. As Heart Math Institute explains, 26 adults experienced in using heart math techniques and who could sustain a heart coherent state completed 2 rounds of study protocols approximately 2 weeks apart. Half of the participants completed the protocols after they intentionally achieved a heart coherent state for 10 minutes. The other half completed the same procedures without first achieving heart coherence. Then they reversed the process for the second round of monitoring, with the first group not becoming heart coherent before completing the protocols, and the second group becoming heart coherent before. The point was to test whether the heart coherence affected the results of the experiments. Participants were told the study's purpose was to test stress reaction and were unaware of its actual purpose. This practice meets Institutional Review Board standards. Each participant sat at a computer and was instructed to click a mouse when ready to begin. The screen stayed blank for 6 seconds. The participants' psychological data was recorded by a specific software program, and then one by one a series of 45 pictures was displayed on the screen. Each picture displayed for 3 seconds evoked either a strong emotional reaction or a calm state. After each picture, the screen went blank for 10 seconds. Participants repeated this process for all 45 pictures, 30 of which were known to evoke a calm response and 15 a strong emotional response. The results of the experiment were fascinating to say the least. The participants' brains and hearts responded to information about the emotional quality of the pictures before the computer flashed them, random selection. This means that the heart and brain were both responding to future events. The results indicated that the responses happened on average 4.8 seconds before the computer selected the picture. How mind-altering is that? Even more profound, perhaps, was the data showing the heart received information before the brain. It is first registered from the heart, Roland McCarthy, PhD, explained, then up to the brain, emotional and prefrontal cortex, where we can logically relate what we are intuiting, then finally down to the gut or where something stirs. Another significant study, meta-analysis, that was published in Journal of Parapsychology by Charles Hornorton and Diane Ferrari in 1989, examined a number of studies that were published between 1935 and 1987. The studies involved individuals' attempts to predict the identity of target stimuli selected randomly over intervals ranging from several hundred million seconds to 1 year following the individual responses. These authors investigated over 300 studies conducted by over 60 authors using approximately 2 million individual trials by more than 50,000 people. Their analysis of preconditioned experiments confirms the existence of a small but highly significant precognition effect. The effect appears to be repeatable. Significant outcomes are reported by 40 investigators using a variety of methodological paradigms and subject populations. The precognition effect is not merely an unexplained departure from a theoretical chance baseline, but rather is an effect that co-varies with factors known to influence more familiar aspects of human performance. The takeaway: there seems to be a deep concern that the whole field will be tarnished by studying a phenomenon that is tainted by its association with the supernatural, superstition, spiritualism, and magic. Protecting against this possibility sometimes seems more important than encouraging scientific exploration or protecting academic freedom. But this may be changing. This is what Cassandra Wheaton, PhD and President of CEO at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, says. We are living in an age where new information and evidence are constantly emerging, challenging what we once thought about the nature of reality and ourselves as human beings. Perhaps there are aspects of ourselves and our consciousness that have yet to be discovered. This is what appears to be happening. Perhaps if we learn and grow from these studies, they can help us better understand ourselves and others, and perhaps create a shift in the overall human history that drives our society. This was originally from The Pulse. He published here under Creative Commons on Collective Spark. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.